hardware global info section, which is right here. So once you've selected the Switchblade over here, then you can edit all of its global information. And so this is just the stuff that makes it run, right? As an example, let's look at the ET because it's different. So we'll select that. You'll see we've got 16 IOs now. We can actually, the ET allows you to update the firmware, which is really cool. And I've done it a couple times now with Ken, and it's really great because that means he can keep innovating with the ET. Then you'll see over here this section changes depending on what hardware unit you've selected. You can see we can do input levels and output levels on the ET. There's switch commands, there's 6 relays on it, all these different things. Preset switch time, the contrast for the LCD. The 8F has some of this stuff as well. You also note the MIDI stuff here. I can select the port that it is on or change it if I want, and the MIDI channel. By the way, this will change. I now can change the MIDI channel on the units. I kind of do a weird thing where I write the MIDI change and then I switch SBE, the app, to that new MIDI channel because the switchblades will immediately switch. The GL acts a little strange sometimes, so hopefully we'll see if that works or not. But you're not really going to change the MIDI channel that often, I don't think. But anyway. Then a real important section over here is, of course, where you define your devices, and this is also where you set up smart insert and what have you. Now, what I've done is there's some really cool stuff, and you'll see this chain link right here about doing auto configure and things like that. What I'm going to do is show you 2 things. I'm going to open an empty hardware file, okay, and I've got 2 examples that I can start with right now is for the ET and the 8F. So when I open that, here we go. We'll get an alert that tells us, hey, this hardware is not set up. By the way, you would get this if you were connected via MIDI as well. You could do 2 things here. You can either hit OK and do stuff yourself, or you can hit auto configure and it will automatically create input and output only devices for every I/O. I'm going to do that now just to show you what it looks like. Now and you'll also notice that now we have an edited, so this has been edited, this little icon out here, so you hopefully will remember, oh wait, I either need to save that or not worry about it. But now you'll also notice this icon here is a file, it looks like a page. So that means this is a file, it's not just the MIDI connection, which means we can save this, we can do all kinds of, we do different things with it. It acts a bit different. Now you'll also notice it's red, and that these icons are red. That's noting that it is currently offline. So if we ping this device on port 3 and MIDI channel 1, it's not responding, okay? The interesting thing is that we have an 8F is on my port 3 MIDI channel 1, but since it doesn't match the model ID, these guys aren't supposed to talk to each other, okay? Now, this could still be kind of dangerous, so be careful writing to an offline device and things like that, because right now I don't disable that. If you think I should, let me know. In any case, you'll see that we automatically named with a default kind of name all of the ports, all of the IOs, all right? And then we also created a device for every one of those. And if you select one of these, you'll see the CC number has already been defined, and it's an output only type in this case because we selected out 2, all right? Now this is kind of cool because it also, this little circle right here indicates that this particular CC number has already been used, right? So that if you're assigning it yourself, you won't accidentally reuse one. Now, I can also start deleting devices, and you'll notice the device we have selected out 2 is kind of grayed out. You can't, and also since we've used everything, you can't select anything. Well, if I delete out 2, you'll notice that out 2 now becomes available for me to create a device, and I can select that. I can name it, and let's just call it, we'll just name this one 2, all right? Now, if I don't do anything else, and I just do add, you'll notice that we have an available CC of 35. I don't have to do anything, and if I add this, boom. Now we've got a device 2, and a CC number of 35 has been selected for it already, right? So it kind of does this, I do a lot of stuff, try to do it automatically to save you some time. Now, let me show you something even more cool about doing an auto configure. I'm going to go ahead and just start a new file just to save time for the video, and let's go back to the ET, okay? Now, everything turned red. Don't worry about this. The background thread, I'll fix that in a second. Anyway, so we go here. Now, same thing, except I'm going to hit OK this time. Now, we've got all empty here, but let's do something fun. I'm going to do guitar. I'm just going to make it simple. Let's do fuzz. These are, let's pretend that these are things that I've got connected to my Switchblade right now. And then let's do a cool thing. We're going to do 2290, and I know I've got a left and a right on the return, but I'm going to, and a single input for a 2290 because it's a mono in, right? So then I'm going to have, but I've got the two outputs. Now, I didn't name them differently. I could normally do a left and a right, and then I could do it manually, but I want to show you the auto configure, how cool this is. So now, all I got to do is go to this button right here with the chains, and I say auto create. Now, it also created a bunch of other stuff I didn't want, but let's not worry about that right now, because we can go delete those if we wanted. So now you'll notice I've got guitar, and I have amp, fuzz, and now check out 2290 is a single device, but look, both the outputs are selected, etc. Now, when I go to the presets section, look at my icons that are already created. Now you notice I'm red because we're offline. I'll get to this editor in a minute, but you'll notice it created a device or an icon that's got one input and two outputs. Cool, right? All right, we'll come back and look at the canvas editor in a bit, but I just wanted to show you kind of how this correlates. What I would probably do now, personally, so I don't have to deal with it, is I would start deleting all of these guys right here, and there's a fast way to do it. Go to the last one. Oh, no, I didn't mean, oh, okay, so it doesn't work. It goes to, it goes to 0. So see, I deleted guitar, but hey, no big deal. All I got to do is, well, actually, I could just do this. It created the one device that I had a name for, and there we are. We're all good again, right? So that was kind of a cool thing to show, actually. Anyway, so then we can go in here and we do other things. We can set up MIDI. So once you have a name for a device, or if you've added external device names, these will become active. You can set the MIDI channel for those devices. You'll notice that channel 1 isn't available because you can't use any of the channels that any other device is assigned to, or the MIDI channel that the Switchblade is assigned to, and that's part of the firmware of the Switchblade, so I have that in there. But if you select these, we'll look at some stuff that happens in the preset, or in the canvas, in the preset editor and stuff like that, where once you've assigned a MIDI channel, then you can actually assign CCs, patch changes, and all kinds of stuff like that, right? The other thing that the ET and the 8F has is they have controllers, and you can assign these different controllers to do different things with CCs, right? So if you've got MIDI channels assigned to your devices, they'll show up in this list here. Or you can assign it to a preset, and then you can make every preset have a different CC that this controller or foot switch, etc. controls. So you can make these expression pedals do things per preset or globally in the Switchblade, and that's something if you know the Switchblade, you're familiar with that stuff. At least the 8F, the ET has this same functionality. The older Switchblades don't really do this right here, and that'll be grayed out. You can't use it. And then of course there's the update firmware there. So the other thing you can do, just so we know, like let's take the 2290 device. You can go here, and what we did is I auto-select other as the smart insert type. Well, you probably want to make a delay or a reverb to be either a reverb or echo type. In this case, we're going to do an echo type, and then all I got to do is hit the update button, and then from there, if I go to fuzz, we're back to where we are. If we go to 2290, you'll notice it's now an echo type, okay? So that's what the update button does. You can change the CC number as well if you want, and then hit update, do the same thing. Also, just so you know, you can completely create generic, or you can create the whole device on your own. So if I take out 16 and in 16 and I delete those and I want to create a new device, I can do something like this. I can say, let's call it, I don't know, let's call it an overdrive. Okay, I'll say overdrive. And then I want to select the input and the output, just like that. And then I want to go to here and say overdrive, okay? And then I want to make it a specific CC number. I could go and select 63, and let's make it a reverb type. I hope this works. There There we go. Now let's go to something else and then go back to OD, and yep, it worked just like we had expected. The other thing is you'll notice final out. Just select that for your amps or to mixers or anything else that you want to be a final out, and to use the special functionality in the SwitchBlade for those types of things as well. Now, once you've done all this work, including any changes that you might have made here, then you want to send this to the SwitchBlade that is appropriate. Now, in this case, we would need, because we're offline and we're in a file, we would need to know where the ET is we want to write to. So if this ET is showing up right here, and that's the one I want to write to, then we can quickly look at this guy and say, oh, okay, it's on MIDI port, it's on my Microlight port 2, and it's MIDI channel 1, so I'll go here. Now, this is the trick where you want to be careful, because, now once I change this, you'll notice that now the document is blue, because it is now connected and can write to that ET. So this is where you got to be kind of careful. If you are you're about to write global data, you're going to overwrite the global data in that ET. So know that that's what you want to do when you do this. So you go up here and you see there's a little arrow going down to the block, and if you hover there, you'll see it says send global setup to connected hardware. There you go, and that will send this entire global configuration to that particular SwitchBlade, and you're ready to go. Notice you can also get any configuration from a piece of hardware at any time from here. Now, finally, you can close this file if you want to, and then of course you can open this file. Once you save it, then you use open existing hardware file, and you can open it at any time you want. Okay, so hey, that was the quick rundown of the global settings. Hope that's helpful and makes it pretty straightforward to run through. It wasn't too boring to watch. But thanks a lot. We'll go on to another chapter.